Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
How are you all? Let me turn up my doing good. Thank you for your responses. Okay. All right. So here is the plan. We're going to do quick course check-in. Hopefully we all know where we're at, but this is just to discuss the schedule real quick. And then we will jump right into live feedback on your presentations or answering questions on your presentations. Okay. Okay, so this is what your schedule looks like at the moment. We're in week 9. And your presentation is due this Sunday. So any questions you've got, let's address those in class today, okay? I want to point out what's coming up so that you're aware. Obviously, down at the very last week down here, that's finals week, okay? So I want to discuss next week just a bit for you. So if you remember, there are some extra credit activities. This is extra credit in addition to whether or not you turn your presentation in early. That's also extra credit, okay? And those are in the extra credit module. So if you want to do any of that, go take a look at that. They are due Monday night of Dead Week, okay? Our mini symposium occurs next week. If you've already submitted your presentation, then you probably have seen that the mini symposium became active for you, so you can go ahead and jump into it. So the prerequisite there is you've got to submit the presentation before to me as an assignment before you can participate in the mini symposium. Okay. And your task will be to review 2 of your classmates' presentations. All right. It's intended as a positive feedback mechanism. Okay. If you have any corrective feedback, be kind in how you present that. Okay. I also want to point out that I open the final exam, which we will also discuss more next time. Okay. I opened the final exam Friday of Dead Week. Okay, so it opens just before Dead Week or before Finals Week officially begins. All right. The reason I'm doing that is I want to still be able to give you a full 7 days to complete the final, just like you've been able to do, or just like you were able to do on the midterm. Okay. Um, so in order to do that, I've got to back it up and open it before finals week officially begins. Why is our final due Thursday? Because I've got to have grades due that following week. So I need that Friday to get everything together. Okay. So that is the reason for that. I hope that's okay with you. You probably don't want to be taking finals on a Friday anyway at the end of the term if you can help it. Okay. All right, so the other thing I want to point out is what we're going to do next next Wednesday. We're going to have a Kahoot session, which is kind of a game. I will send you the details in advance because you're going to need to download an app called Kahoot in order to play the game with us. And this is basically a review for your questions for your final. Okay, so I will load up a bunch of actual questions that are going to be asked. So it'd be good for you to attend that session. Okay. If you can't attend, obviously I'll record it just like I've been doing with the rest. And even if you do attend, you can rewatch to help yourself practice studying for the final. Okay. Any questions on that stuff before I jump into presentation related things? You guys all good there? Okay. All right. So for this class, I haven't received any presentations in advance. So at this point, I'm going to first ask if you've got any specific questions, anyone, or if you would like me to take a look at what you've got now live. Is anybody thinking of sharing what they've got so far? Let me ask you this. Who has started this assignment?
I've started. I just haven't gotten too far.
Okay, that's cool. Thank you. Okay, Colby has started. Thank you, Colby. And so has Spencer. Is anybody running into any problems? Anybody feeling stuck? And Colby, your hand is still raised. I'm going to clear that unless you do have a problem. Okay, just making sure. If you do have a question or problem, just let me know. Okay. What I would like to do then is I'm going to walk you through some of the samples, and if anybody decides they want to share or has a specific question during that, just stop me. Okay. We can always jump out and look at your actual presentation instead if this is not helpful. But I'm hoping this will be helpful because I have received a few questions. Um, People feeling a little bit like, what's the word, writer's block, like they don't know what to do. So hopefully this will help a little, I hope. So I am going to stop sharing this because I want to show you where you can find what I'm going to show you. All right, let's do this. I'm going to go in first before I show you this. Oh, I'll go ahead and share it because you're probably sitting there going, what are you doing? All right, so I am going to try, oops. Did I do it? I didn't do it. Course details. That one. Okay, are you seeing my browser? Yes. Okay, so I need to look at things as a student. Let me see if it'll. They've changed things just a tad in Canvas, and I'm not recognizing. There we go, student view. Okay, it's thinking. I've had some suspiciously slow internet the past few days, and I think I mentioned this to you guys before. I forget which classes I've told, but if you have Spectrum internet, I'm hoping the same thing that happened last year won't happen again this year. When the snow was melting, um, last year it melted so quickly around this time too. It melted so fast, and I know that it's supposed to get warmish tomorrow, I think. Um, it melted so quickly that there was a lot of flooding in certain places. Um, those of you who are in a house with a basement, you know what I'm talking about here in LeGrand, because mine always floods. Um, Apparently, the antenna or tower or whatever they use for Spectrum internet was underwater for 5 days, and so we didn't have, those of us who use Spectrum didn't have internet. That doesn't mean EOU didn't have internet. They were fine, and so fortunately I had a backup, and at the time I was on campus anyway. I was teaching on campus as opposed to remote like we're doing now. I'm just warning you guys, this would be a really bad time of the quarter, wouldn't it, when you got things to for internet to go down if any of you have Spectrum. So be thinking about this, make backup plans to get somewhere where you can use the internet, like the university. Like I said, last year, university internet was fine. They were using some other provider, so they were fine. But just I'm getting nervous because mine has been spotty the past few days. Like I'll be on Zoom and suddenly it'll just freeze, and I don't know for those of anybody else listening to me on Zoom at the time if I cut out or no one's told me what has happened. So let me know if you start seeing that, put it in chat or do something to get my attention. Okay. All right. Okay. So we're in our course on Canvas, right? So I'm going to scroll down just beneath your term presentation module, which is where obviously you're going to turn your term presentation in right here at the very bottom of that module. That's where you turn your presentation in, right? And then the second thing you do is you go down to the mini symposium module and you post it there too. And it's, of course, it's grayed out for me because I'm a pretend student right now and I obviously have not submitted my presentation yet, which is why it says prerequisites. Okay. Okay, so back up here, just beneath the term presentation module are these sample presentations. And I know I've pointed these out to you before, but I just want to call that to your attention again, all right? Today, I won't go through these first three because they're on YouTube, which would require us sitting here together and listening to them because, the audio is incorporated and everything. Instead, I think I would like to look at slides, which is what I would do if you guys wanted to share what you've got so far. We would look at it that way. Okay, so I'm going to take a look at this one that says synergy and adaptability in criminal minds. Okay. All right, and this student submitted their audio, let me go back to that for a second, submitted their audio separately, which is totally fine. They didn't have the right software to be able to integrate the two things together, which is why they did that. Okay. All right, so back to that again. So let me pull this up. Let's see what we got here. Let's do full screen. Okay. So they have incorporated just beneath their slides, they put their notes down here, like I've discussed before. That's a great way to do it, particularly if you're going to want to try to record yourself within, let's say, the PowerPoint presentation. Having those notes right there with the slide is a great way to do it. Okay, but you can also submit that via the script, via Word. Just give me titles for every slide you're talking about so I know where we are. Okay. So this student starts with a table of contents. That's optional. Absolutely do not have to do that. But what they're doing is giving us a preview of the things they're going to cover, which is nice. They also have their thesis statement. Actually, let me just double check if they have the thesis statement anywhere. Okay, so they've got their thesis separate from all this. They're letting us know they're going to cover about the artifact, right? What the show is about. Then they're going to cover their thesis. Then they're going to do their analysis, provide a conclusion, and show me their references. Okay. All right. So as I've mentioned with the other presentations that you guys have shared, when you're doing anything on slides for a presentation, I don't want, unless you're doing your thesis, okay, I don't want full sentences because that's too distracting for us as viewers watching. We can hear you say it. We don't need you to put all the text on the slide, okay? So this is great in that they have bullet points of the things they're going to talk about, right? Okay, so they share with us, and it's pretty brief. I mean, if you look at the text here, there's not a whole lot there, right? They share with us what the show is about. They talk about the particular group of people, and that it's a diverse group, and that there are different talents and expertise in the group. Okay. So they're not even really saying, okay, these are my course concepts or vocabulary words, but you're already seeing there's a tie-in to this course, right? By the things they share with us about the artifact. Okay. All right, so here they offer their thesis. And like I said, I would like to see your thesis as a full sentence. Of course, say it as well, right? And again, you don't need, there must be something in my own and you'll have to tell me if I've done this, if I've generated this confusion, because I've seen it several times now. You don't need to put quotes for your own words. Okay. The quotes would be if you're citing somebody else, and then obviously you need a citation following it. Okay. So they have cited here beneath that. These are the vocabulary terms or course concepts that they are going to cover. Okay. And they did not provide quotes because you don't need to in this case. You see, it's just paraphrased, right? Okay. So here you got a bit more text. They're going into a bit more depth, so you would want to talk a bit more about these things, right? Okay. All right. And then here's their analysis. So there's probably going to be a lot of text, I would imagine, a lot of script discussing these things, right? Okay. And they're doing I haven't really discussed this with you, but you probably know about this from writing papers and things. It's always nice to have transitions, right? As opposed to having things be disjointed. You say the next thing I'm going to talk about, or next we will, right? Okay. All right, and then we get to the conclusion. So this conclusion should match if we look at it, right? If we look at the words here, it should match somewhat with the thesis, like we're echoing the thesis in some way, okay? And I have asked you before not to reiterate the thesis verbatim, right? So that's what they have done here. They've been very careful just to kind of reword, right? Saying it in a different way. Okay. All right. And then they've got their reference list. Okay, so here, let's see, did they ever show? So what I also would need to see, they got the book, which is fantastic, but I also need to see the artifact cited as well. Even if you didn't provide clips, tell us, you know, Criminal Minds and all of the, I mean, look it up in Purdue OWL to see how you cite an artifact, a TV series. Okay. Let me just double check back here. I can't tell from this because I printed it out as a PDF for you, if they had actual clips. It doesn't sound like they did because I don't see them saying in this clip, right? So I don't think they did, and that's okay. That's okay. But if you do provide clips, they're likely going to be YouTube clips, right? So I would like you to also cite those, okay? And again, check Purdue OWL because providing just a URL is not a proper way to list something in a bibliography or in a reference list. Cite it properly. You will have the URL there. It will be included, but there is a specific way to do that. Okay. All right. So on that one, do you have any questions? Did that make you think of anything or um, give you any ideas, let's say, about what you might want to do your presentation on? I'm hoping this was somewhat helpful.
Is there a certain type of annotation, like a citation format you want us to use?
No, use whatever one that you have used most, that you're most comfortable with. I imagine a lot of you will use MLA probably because that's what your English classes typically have used. For communication studies, we frequently use APA as well. And if there's anybody in here who has done much study of psychology, you might have seen that format a lot or be comfortable with that format, and that's okay too. I've seen Chicago, I've seen Harvard used. Any of those as long as you're comfortable with it, okay, and be consistent throughout. I hope that helped answer that question. So I'm not picky about that. I just want you to be consistent. And if you go to the Purdue OWL website, which I have linked from, here, let's go back. When this opened, this did show, because it's looking funny to me here. Okay, it did show it in the browser, right? It didn't jump into some other, let me know if that's not correct. Okay, I want you to be able to see what I'm seeing. Okay, since we are still in the browser, I believe, yes, I'm going to go back into the modules and show you, if you haven't seen this yet, show you where, I'm going to collapse all for a second just to make sure everything's closed. In the help menu, I have under referencing resources, Purdue OWL is where you can, choose a citation format and then search. I'll just click it so you can see. I know we talked about this briefly, but I think it'd be good to look at this. Okay, so I've linked you straight to APA, but that doesn't mean that's where you need to go. So what you would need to do, hate it when these little pop-ups come up. I see a question. Hang on. Okay, so Colby says, I'm also doing Criminal Minds. If you use different key concepts, is that okay? Yes. So you can, even though I say back in the course modules, in the sample module that I just pulled that presentation from, even though I'd say don't use this artifact, um, that's the easiest way for me to just put it out there in Canvas to get the point across. Don't copy, right? But yes, if you are going to use different course concepts, you can still use that same artifact if you really like that artifact. Okay, and if you're familiar with Criminal Minds is an excellent one, actually, for group communication. So, um, okay, so if you're in Purdue OWL's website, I linked you straight into APA style, but let me minimize that one. You see here, you can do MLA, which, as I mentioned, if you've taken a lot of English classes, you're probably most familiar with that. There's Chicago here. IEEE, I think, has to do with the internet. I haven't used that myself to know much about it. There's the older APA, American Medical Associations in here as well. So just depending on your discipline, you're going to likely be more comfortable with one versus the other. Okay, but this is a great place to look. So if I look in, let's just look at MLA for a second. Okay, let me see. Let me see. I'm trying to see if okay, but this might expand it. Hang on, let me go back. Trying to see if they list. There we go. Whoops. Okay, I jumped back to APA. Okay, I'll show you from there then. So they give you, how to reference articles, books, other sources that are in print or electronic. This is where you go for your web sites. Remember I mentioned there's a specific way to cite websites. Audio visual media. Okay, so that would be citing. Let's see. I wonder if they say that YouTube is under here. This is typically if you are citing from like a DVD and you've got the exact timestamp, right? Then you'd probably use these. But here's how you would cite, for example, because they wanted to do Criminal Minds, right? They would need to do it like this. Now I think if they do a specific episode, here we go. Here's a specific episode they used, right? If you're going to be citing clips from a specific episode, you can use this format. Okay. Oh, here we go. So here's how you do a YouTube video. Okay. So that is under audio visual sources as opposed to electronic media. Okay. But if it's just a website, go from electronic sources, this one here. All right. And they will see there's a web page or piece of online content. Okay. So make sure you do those properly. Questions on referencing? Okay. All right. Has anybody decided they'd like to let me get out of this maybe? Get out of email too.
I got a question in the chat. Using
Yes.
Grey's Anatomy on group roles, is that a good idea or should I try something different?
No, that's great. I would recommend choosing a specific episode if you can, or maybe a couple of particular instances from within maybe a couple of episodes.
Yeah, I was gonna try to pick which characters matched each role based on personality.
Oh, you could do that. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yep.
Because I couldn't really think of like particular episodes where like
Where
they
you've
were
seen
each
it.
acting how like you see a lot of it in a lot of episodes, but you don't see like every person acting in the way like Alex in the early seasons was probably like a clown acting out, and
Right. Yeah.
and then later on, I put like April Kepner as like a supporter or encourager.
Okay, good.
But
Good.
there's not like specific episodes that I have where they're like
Okay.
all acting that certain way.
Right. Okay, I see what you're saying. So you'd have to pick a different episode for each
Yeah.
person, and that's okay. Yeah, you can absolutely do that. Yep. Yeah, so for all of you, if it doesn't fit when I recommend picking a specific scene, right? Because I think that's what I recommend in the instructions. If it doesn't, you can't make that work, then do like what Patience is suggesting. She knows of, in this particular series, particular characters behave take on group roles at different times, and that's going to happen over courses of different episodes. So that's okay too. If you're really familiar with a series like that and you have that in your memory, like as you said, Patience, that Alex is one way here earlier in the series, and then April later in the series is this way, right?
Yeah, I was thinking about doing that or doing something on role ambiguity. I
Okay.
That one I thought might be a good idea too, but I just don't know how like in depth I can take that concept, I guess.
I see what you're saying. Yeah. You would
Cause
have to, it's one of those unknowns until you get into it.
yeah.
If you have enough material, then that might be fine.
Okay. Yeah, I think I don't know. I'm gonna play with both of those and see what I can come up with. Thank
Okay.
you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. For the rest of you, do you have an idea? Like, have you picked an artifact? Noah has.
Yeah, I've picked one too.
You picked one too, Bryson. Great. And I know Hayden digs. I think I got an email from Hayden. Do you know, those of you who have not picked an artifact, are you instead, there's a certain concept you like that you would think you might want to cover? Typically, we start with artifact on an assignment like this, so it's a little harder to go the other direction. Okay, so those of you who have picked your artifact, do you have ideas on what concepts you're going to cover in that artifact? Noah says yes. What would you mind sharing? What concepts or what vocabulary you're going to be in, Bryson, too? Great.
I have to go back into the book
Okay.
and look at like specifically what it is, but I'm doing Captain America Civil War
Okay.
because there's a scene in there where there's a lot of conflict and part of the group like they just aren't agreeing with each other and
Okay.
the group work with what they're supposed to be doing is just a lot of arguing. So
Okay. Okay.
going more in depth with that scene.
That's good. And honestly, there are probably other chapters in our book that we didn't cover in here that is perfectly acceptable for you guys to use if you need to, because there is a chapter on conflict in your book. So if you're having any trouble, Noah, you might want to just take a look at that too, um, to see if that might help you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So Bryson, you said, oh, I saw Spencer's about to say something. Go ahead, Spencer.
I was thinking about doing Hacksaw Ridge.
Okay.
What do you suggest I should do for the key concepts in that movie?
So that's one of the ones on our list? Is that right? It's been a while since I've seen it.
It's about the World War II.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's it's been a while since I've seen it, so I'm not able to immediately say, "Oh, do it on this." But I know that that is a good one. I think I had as a I think it was as a group project. I had students in this class do that film before. So I know that there are multiple avenues in the film. Um, have you rewatched it recently? That might be a good idea. Like sit there with your book, right, and watch it and take note of anything just on a notepad, right? Be like, okay, I bet you I could do group roles with this, or I bet you I could do group development with this, or something, or intercultural communication, or whatever, right? Like I said, it's been too long, so I don't remember the details of the film. Does that help a bit, Spencer?
Yeah. Yeah. Thank
Okay,
you.
you're welcome. So Bryson, I saw your thumb or hand or something go up. I don't remember what the interaction was.
Yeah, it was a thumbs up.
Did you pick, do you have any idea what concepts or vocabulary you're going to cover in your artifact?
Yeah, I was gonna do informal group roles because I'm doing it on the show called The Good Doctor,
Okay.
and
Okay.
they just have like a bunch of different roles that you're able to see within the show already.
Awesome. Good. Good. So your approach might be similar to patience in that you might not be able to find a single scene to use as an example, so you might have to jump around.
Yeah, it's gonna be multiple scenes.
Yeah. Good. Good. Awesome. Awesome. Others of you um, feeling stuck or like wondering where to go. So anybody who has not picked an artifact, I believe I've shared with this with you already, but I'm going to show you again just to ensure everybody knows about it. So down in your term presentation module, I provide suggested films for use as potential artifacts only if you just don't have any idea what to pick. Okay. um, And so essentially, these are either films that other students have used, because I've added to the list. They're either films or TV shows that other students have used when they've done these presentations, or they are specifically listed in your book. So I started, I think, the beginning of the list to, I don't remember how many on the numbers here, but the beginning of the list is coming straight from your book because, as you've noticed at the back of every chapter, I forget what it's called, video case studies or something. And they give a brief kind of description of the film itself and then how it applies or how group communication concepts are illustrated in the film. Okay, so if you're feeling stuck, take a look at these. In some cases, I do mention that, such as like this one, the CRODS. Is that how you say it? CRODS? The group dynamics are visible there, but also group cohesiveness, group diversity, task and social dimensions, right? So in some cases, I actually say these are the things that I'm aware of that pertain to your class. But like you see, there's Lord of the Rings, right? So here, group communication, group development, okay? So, if you don't know yet, take a look. Take a good look at these. Oh, there we go. Yeah, it's called video case studies, right? So I think I added from what was in the book, I added I think I added these just because they came out during the time that these classes were being offered, and that one too, yeah. And your book, I don't think your book listed these, so I know there's a lot of Avengers fans out there, so I wouldn't be surprised if we see several examples. And I listed only one film. Obviously, there's been a bunch. All right. Okay. I'm going to stop sharing that now. Okay. Any specific concerns anybody's having? I want to help you as much as possible. This is the last week, as you know. I would recommend if you are feeling stuck or you're concerned about this, to book an appointment with, I'll share that again. I'm going to share my screen again. Book an appointment with one of our tutors, our communication tutors, because they are waiting for you. Here's where you can book an appointment. Okay, you don't even have to have anything done yet, so you don't feel like you have to have your presentation ready to discuss. They understand the challenges of doing these. Okay, so the place that you can find the link to go book an appointment with a tutor, and I recommend doing this as soon as possible because I don't know what their schedules are this week. Okay, you just click right here and it'll take you to the page where you need to you log in and you pick subject tutoring, not the writing tutoring. Okay. Can I ask this? How many of you have used our tutors before?
I haven't. I am one for psychology.
Oh, awesome. Okay. Awesome. It's very helpful. I mean, they're fellow students, so they can talk to you about this assignment in a way that, like I mentioned earlier when I was talking about that silly little thing with the quotes around the thesis statement, perhaps there's some confusion I've inserted into the instructions. You're just scratching your head. They can maybe interpret. And if there is a problem with any of my instructions, please tell me. I'll do my best to fix them. I don't mean to insert any confusion anywhere. You guys think you're set? You're okay? Feel like you have a plan? Yes, Spencer, Noah, okay, awesome. Okay. Well, I don't want to, if you're still thinking of asking a question, I don't want to boot you out of here early or anything. But I also don't want you to feel like you've got to sit around and watch me just chewing the fat. Okay, I will say those of you who feel like you are good with this, like you don't think you have any additional questions, you know what to do this week. You're free to go. Anybody who would like to stick around and talk to me additionally, you want a little more focused help, you can stick around. We can talk a little bit. I see a chat. Okay, you're welcome. Thank you, Patience. Okay, those of you who are still with me, is there anything in particular you'd like to talk about?
How long does the whole presentation need to be again?
10 minutes at most. If you go over that, it's okay. I'm not going to penalize you in any way.
Okay.
Typically, they're going to be, typically you talking is going to be about 7 minutes. So a lot of times you'll provide clips and things, and I'm not counting that against your time.
Okay.
Yeah. So between 7 and 10 minutes.
Okay.
Yep. Yep. Which equates to about 7 to 10 slides. It's typically about a minute you spend per slide.
Okay. Thank you.
Helps any. You're welcome.
And then just 2 or more key concepts.
Yes. Yes. And you can't, I mean, if you feel like you have enough to talk about with one concept, by all means, do that. So you might pick like an overarching concept, let's say informal group roles, right? But then you're going to have multiple vocabulary within that you want to share with us, right? Because are those the examples of the specific roles you're going to show and talk about, right?
Sweet.
Yep. Good questions.
I think that's all I have for questions.
Okay. Okay. Awesome. Awesome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, Colby. So, Sana, do you have any specific questions?
What's another big mistake you've been seeing with these presentations? Like something that like you think should be fixed with all the
Let's see. Anything that's common. So common problem. That's a good question. Common problems. One of the most common ones is no conclusion.
Okay.
Yeah. And I know that conclusions and intros are both kind of belabored, like people frequently in papers even kind of don't know what to do with them. Which is why I suggest a really easy approach is just reiterate that thesis statement. And you can, if you like, briefly summarize what you told us, right?
Okay.
A lot of writing teachers will tell you that, right? They'll say in the intro, tell us what you're going to tell us, like give us a preview, right? And then go through the meat of the paper. So in this case, your presentation. And then at the end, remind us, okay, so here we discussed informal group roles, and I showed you how character so-and-so represented devil's advocate or whatever, right?
Okay.
Yep.
Let's start out with your thesis and then go into your intro about what we're going to talk about.
You can even, if you'd like, you can do intro. You can do thesis as part of the intro.
Okay.
Or your intro just be about your artifact. That's up to you how you want to
Okay.
handle the introduction. Yeah.
Like I kind of have it started. So like my first slide, I just have what show I'm doing. I just put like Criminal Minds, and then I did the introduction, and then I went straight to literature review. So I didn't put my thesis in there, but I'll probably put my thesis.
Yeah, that should be, yes, absolutely. That should be very early. Yeah, yeah. You reminded me of something too when you said that. Another common, it's not a huge deal, but in giving presentations anywhere, it's important, is to introduce yourself. Even if your name is right there on the slide, just say, hello, my name is Colby Preston, and I am going to discuss.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So it's always just a nice etiquette, presentation etiquette. Yeah, yeah. Good questions.
So, Criminal Minds, thesis, introduction, literature review. So go over. I'll probably just put my two key concepts right there.
Yep.
And then I'll have the next slide. So my fifth slide will be my first one. Key concept. Second will be my seventh slide will be the second key concept, and then my conclusion after that.
And then you would want to have an analysis section. So in that section, you'd basically be saying, okay, so here is where this key concept, or here in the artifact is where this key concept is illustrated.
Okay.
Pick a specific place or talk about a specific character, maybe a little more. Because you said you were going to do informal roles. Is that right? Or did I?
I'm not really sure yet.
Okay. Sorry, I misremembered what you said. Yeah, so you would gonna kind of go into a bit more depth in your analysis section, but really in the key concepts where you're doing literature review essentially is just defining those vocabulary words for us.
Okay.
Telling us what that means. Yeah.
Okay, so that makes sense. So tie them all.
Yeah.
Okay.
Treat the presentation a bit like, let's say you were going to use this as something you put in your portfolio for a job interview. Treat the presentation in a way that even somebody who hasn't read your textbook will be like, oh, cool, I understand what that is. Explain it like you're teaching it to somebody.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then after I do that, I can go right into my conclusion.
Okay. Yep.
All right. And then conclusion. Okay, I think that's it.
Cool.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Do you have another question?
No, that is it.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, Colby.
All right. I'll see you next week.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
So Sana, did I pronounce your name right? Is it Sona? I can't hear you if you are talking. You're on mute. Feel free to type in the chat as well if you have a specific question or issue. I'll do that. I've given you a prompt. Okay. Okay, I'm guessing Sana is not with us or does not have additional needs. So I'm going to go ahead and end class. For everybody watching the recording, thank you for taking the time to watch. And again, if you need help this week, please consider booking an appointment with a tutor if it's kind of involved. Otherwise, feel free to send me a email question, or better yet, put your question in the discussion forum so that everybody else can benefit from the answer. Okay. And I do recommend these presentations are quite involved, so I do recommend not waiting until the weekend to do this, okay? Because remember, you got some technical things that you've got to accomplish with this in addition to explaining course concept and so on, okay? All right, well, thank you, everybody. See you next week.